Right away, this hearing takes an unexpected turn. What was supposed to be a fairly routine bind-over proceeding suddenly shifts when the defendant notices that potential witnesses haven't testified. Then comes a surprising admission from the prosecutor. Officers who were supposed to remain sequestered may have watched testimony online. That's a big courtroom issue because witness sequestration exists to prevent testimony from being influenced by what others say. The prosecutor openly acknowledges the mistake and even apologizes on the record. That's not something you see every day. The question now becomes, will reopening testimony help the defense or will it ultimately strengthen the prosecution's case? Let us know in the comments. If you were the judge, would you allow those officers to testify after watching the hearing online?
Additional witnesses, people rest.
All right. Any witnesses for the defense?
There you go.
All right. Do you have a motion?
Yes, Your Honor, at this time people move for bind over on the single count of assaulting, resisting, or obstructing Darnell Tyson. Is there any further argument for rebuttal?
Respond. The sergeant's name was Sergeant Griggs, wasn't it?
Gibbs,
Yeah.
G-I-B-B, opposite Lloyd S.
Yeah.
Why are we not hearing the testimony of the other witnesses?
I'm sorry?
I was asking why we're not hearing the testimony of the other witnesses.
Because neither one of the parties called them.
I would like to call them, Your Honor.
Any objection to reopening the proofs?
Your Honor, I will let the court know part of the reason I changed my mind is because I failed to instruct the officers who were in the hallway that they could not watch the proceedings on YouTube. So it's my understanding they did watch the testimony of Officer Tyson on YouTube, and I apologize for that. Didn't intend to have that happen. I deeply am regretful of that. I did not know what was going on, so I went out in the hallway. Didn't intend to call them because their sequestration had been broken and rest on the proofs that were proof for the court.
Still wish to call them?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Are they still here?
I believe so. Which one?
Which one do you want, sir? Both of them. Right. Just bring everybody back.
Sounds great.
Okay. So, which one do you want to call, Mr. Magoo?
Start with Officer Smith.
All right. Officer Smith, did you want the other officer? Did you want the sergeant? Did you want the sergeant sequestered during this testimony? Or?
Yes. No, you.
No, you don't give orders. You just don't. You just don't. No, you don't. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, keep smiling. That won't end well. Let's have him so.
Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. See, state your first and last name for the record, please.
First name is Lawrence, L-A-W-R-E-N-C-E, last name is Smith, that's my signature.
You may inquire.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Is there no?
It's your witness.
How you doing, Officer Smith? You have to lay a foundation with since we all know where we're at on the night. Where were you in the October 11th, 2:50 in the morning, and what brought you to there?
Objection, compound.
Okay.
Sustained. Ask your question.
What led you to a parking lot in Ypsilanti on October 11th, 2024, at 2:50 in the morning, approximately?
We were dispatched to a
Fight in progress.
Yes.
Did you get a description of the people in the fight? What was the description? Do you remember? You were just looking for 2 people, or how many people? Don't recall. Okay. Do you recall the ethnicity of the people that were called? Were they what the dispatch? Who was the dispatched over the fight? I believe they gave some descriptive words in the police report. And do you recall what the do you recall any descriptive words that would characterize the people that you were looking for on October 11th? What led you to approach me?
Well, we've seen an individual sitting, I believe, slumped over and looking not responsive at the point, and we've seen alcoholic beverages around the individual, so we assumed it was high intox. So at that point, it's our job and duty to render aid to the individual, and then having the ambulance come and assess their medical needs at that point.
Okay. You assessed that another individual was highly intoxicated?
Yes, due to our observations and our directing by our sergeant.
Is that a crime? Highly intoxicated?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevant.
Sustained.
Which part of assuming somebody was highly intoxicated warrants your interjection?
Can you ask your question again, just for clarification?
Are you trained on high intox?
I'm not trained on intox.
On recognizing drunk drivers or something?
I've been in the police for less than a year, and I've observed multiple people that have high intox, and then also by directing my sergeant.
Pay close attention to the exchange happening here. The judge has already warned the defendant about courtroom decorum, and now we're seeing the tension rise. Courtrooms operate under strict procedures, and while self-represented defendants absolutely have the right to question witnesses, they don't get to direct courtroom operations. That's why the judge immediately pushes back when the defendant starts making demands instead of requests. What's fascinating is that the judge is still giving him a tremendous amount of leeway despite the increasingly confrontational tone. This balancing act, protecting a defendant's rights while maintaining courtroom order, is one of the hardest jobs a judge faces. Do you think the judge is being patient or too patient?
We've also been doing this for 4 years plus. I believe that we can observe somebody that's high intox. So that
He was definitely highly intox, huh? You would guarantee, right?
Your Honor, that misstates the testimony evidence.
You can keep trying.
Okay.
The form of your questions are a problem.
Okay. At what point did you and I engage physically?
when you did follow the directives of my sergeant, was let you leave the scene as we render it to your front and assess what you had.
Did he cite any legal authority to make me leave the scene?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Sustained.
Relevance. Your Honor, I'm trying to understand the amount. Do you know? Okay. Never mind. How long were you on the scene, approximately, until I was arrested?
Look at the personal memory.
Okay. Under 5 minutes?
I don't recall at the moment. I was looking over to refresh my memory.
Okay. Did you or your sergeant establish or discuss any probable cause to arrest me?
My sergeant gave us a directive to put you in the back of a patrol vehicle due to you obstructing our investigation. We were trying to assist your friend in getting medical attention. At that point, you were resisting. You put your hands onto the car, not the patrol vehicle, the car, and you clenched your
Okay.
palms together.
So, but hold up a second.
No, you cannot stop him. You ask the question, he's gonna get to answer it. So you don't stop him. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, you may.
So at that point, you were resisting. So then we got the direct to detain you. And after you assault the sergeant gives another directive to place you in the back of the patrol vehicle for assault on a police officer. So I had multiple encounters with you putting your hands on. Yes.
Okay. Backing up to the point of which I was thrown up against the vehicle. You're saying that the crime or the violation that I was in was not stepping away. Is that correct?
You were obstructing the investigation, yes.
Is obstruction, is that a physical act?
Trying to object is a legal conclusion.
Sustained.
Is obstruction of justice, is that a verbal or a physical?
Sir. What are you asking? Because it seems to me that you seem to be asking this officer for a legal conclusion. And
Okay.
I'm not going to have him answer the question
Okay.
until you can clarify what your question is.
In your opinion, is it your opinion that I obstructed physically?
I'm going to object this to the form of the question is the time, because it's not clear to me.
Sustained. I'll sustain it. You need to clarify your question as to at what point.
Yeah, at the point of which Officer Gibbs or Sergeant Gibbs and yourself pushed me against the vehicle to arrest me, to detain. Okay. At that time, was my detainment because of verbal or physical obstruction?
My sergeant asked you to place your hands behind your back. You did not do so. So we assisted you by placing your hands behind your back. You did not do so when you was placed against the vehicle.
So could you label where my obstruction was?
Your objection, ask the answer. I think he's been extremely clear about the different ways in which the defendant obstructed the investigation.
What investigation is what I'm trying to get to? We still don't have a corpus delicti, Your Honor.
So I think we do, but that's okay. You think differently. I'll sustain the objection. You can try again. Rephrase your question.
Under what investigation were you under?
Assisting your friend who was high intox.
Assisting high intox. Okay. Is that a normal police duty?
Yes.
Okay. Under those situations, is there ever a charge that would complement this?
Implement what?
Complement the assisting the high intox.
Okay, let's try to get this clear. You were there rendering medical assistance, potential medical assistance to the individual that was sitting on the ground,
Yes,
right? Part of a police officer's duties, if they see someone that is in distress or in need of medical attention, would be to render aid. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's what you were doing that evening.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we can move on.
Okay. What do you think my role was?
Your role in what can you clarify for me, sir?
So you have one really intoxicated friend and then one that's trying to talk to you. At which point, or which role do you think I would be under when this investigation is going down?
I don't even know what that means. What do you mean role?
Your Honor, the officers showed up on the scene.
Yes.
There was no call for them to be there for me or my buddy. Okay, they showed up and they made themselves a part of our taxi ride home, and I got a charge for it.
No. Here's what happened. As I can best determine. They're dispatched regarding a fight. They come across something else. It was somebody that may look like they need medical attention. As his officers testified, that's part of their obligation to render aid when it looks as though it's necessary. They were attempting to try to do so. Your intervention or role began to take place when you failed to follow the instruction of Sergeant Gibbs. That's what I have so far. So now you may go on to your next question.
Did you write your police report for that night? You did?
Yes.
You do that manually, or I'm sorry, on a computer, or do you handwrite them? Did you happen to write anybody else's?
This is one of the most important moments in the hearing so far. Notice how the officer explains that the issue wasn't simply being present at the scene, it was the alleged interference with officers who were trying to render aid and conduct their investigation. In obstruction cases, the prosecution often focuses on actions that hinder law enforcement from performing their duties. The defendant appears to be trying to narrow the issue down to whether there was a clear legal basis for the commands he was given. Meanwhile, the officer is framing the situation as an escalating series of events that eventually led to detention. Two very different narratives are being presented, and that's exactly what courts are designed to sort out. Which version sounds more convincing to you at this point?
The report? No? Okay. Have you read the report recently?
Yes.
Have you read all of them?
Yes.
Do you find any similarities between them?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Any response to that?
Relevance there. I'm trying to figure out where these. The relevance, they're all identical reports. It's pretty relevant. They were copied and pasted.
Maybe because they were all there.
And they all said exactly the same thing. Verbatim.
Okay. So this officer didn't write anybody else's reports. He just testified to that.
Okay.
So what's your next question to this officer?
Okay. On your report, do you recall any notaries of the presence of alcohol?
I need to look my report to the first one.
Okay. Do you recall reporting any alcohol?
I'll have to look at my report.
Okay. Would you agree that alcohol was a significant contribution to the reason why me and you met?
I'm going to object to speculation, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Okay, we have my friend that was called for a high intox, correct?
No, we were dispatched to fight progress.
Okay. Fight in progress. You showed up on the scene and you notice someone's highly intoxicated. That wasn't a part of the fight that you were dispatched for, correct?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
Who dispatched Huron Valley Ambulance?
Oh, it's Tyson.
Officer Tyson did? Okay. What was the dispatch for?
I didn't.
Okay. Seeing how that was, well, I mean, you agreed that that was part of your investigative duties to assist in my buddy's intoxication.
Well, I defer that question.
I know that. Okay.
So rephrase.
Let me rephrase. Would you agree that the reason that you and I met was because of alcohol?
Objection. Ask them the
Sustained.
What was the
Rephrase.
objection?
You heard the objection.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
It was actually asked and answered, but it should have been relevance.
Yes, it could actually apply to both.
It does.
So,
Okay. Ask and answer. Is that what she said?
yes, rather clearly. It's about the fourth or fifth time that she's had to do that. So,
Okay.
would think 5. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Did you find any alcohol on the scene?
You answer. Just verification.
Did you find any alcohol when you guys arrived on the scene?
Observed in alcohol or found?
Both. Yeah.
Sorry,
Officer, you heard Officer Tyson's testimony?
yes.
Okay. Did you hear him mention the fireball? Yes. Okay. And then you heard him mention the seltzers?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see these yourself on? You did. Okay. So, was there anything else besides those two?
Nothing.
Okay. Nothing illegal? You don't recall any illegal contraband or anything on us or near us?
Your Honor, objection. I'm going to object because he said he doesn't have to this court for fresh recollection since he can't answer that question.
Sustained.
When you're collecting evidence, part of your duties, what is the proper protocol when you collect evidence?
Can you clarify your question? Ask again, please.
What standards or procedures do you conduct when you are obtaining evidence on an investigation? Do you log that information? Do you report it to anybody?
Your Honor, objection is a compound.
Sustained.
He's not getting a,
I'm kidding. I'm so sorry, Your Honor. It's a, okay.
Goodbye, Miss Cinda. Enjoy your dinner. Take care.
If you found a knife nearby on the same, describe the same scenario, there was a switchblade knife, what would you do?
Objection. Relevance.
The judge has now stepped in to summarize the evidence as he currently understands it, and that's incredibly significant. When a self-represented defendant struggles to frame questions effectively, judges will sometimes clarify the testimony that's already been presented. Here, the judge is essentially explaining the prosecution's theory in plain English. Officers arrived for one reason, encountered a separate situation involving a potentially intoxicated individual, attempted to provide assistance, and then the defendant allegedly became part of the problem by refusing directions. Whether that theory ultimately holds up is another question entirely, but the judge is signaling that he sees a logical sequence of events supporting the state's argument. Sometimes the most revealing moments in court aren't witness answers, they're the judge's explanation.
I'm asking for the
I'll
procedures.
overrule it. Let him go.
Depending on the relevance of the knife to the situation or investigation, We'll dispose of the knife if it comes to not being relevant due to it being a safety hazard. If it was logged as evidence, it would be logged properly at the White station, the Edgewood police station.
Okay.
Before even touching the knife, I'll put on gloves. Then I'll put it into an evidence bag, label it, tag it, and I'll place it into my patrol vehicle. After that, I'll transfer it to the police department, and I'll log it into the evidence locker, and I'll notify my sergeant immediately.
Okay.
Wow. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. That was an impressive answer.
So, given that you did observe alcohol on the scene, who reported it?
Who reported it? Like, reported to Metro Dispatch with I talk to your friend? Or what do we do with the?
I'm specifically asking about the reports that were made, but also what happened with the items as well.
The reports of what?
The police reports.
What do you mean what happened to them?
Not what happened to him. What happened to the mention of alcohol in the police reports? Because there was none.
Okay.
Refraining the question, alcohol was found, and who reported it?
What do you?
I reported to my sergeant, my scene.
Okay.
Was very present. I
Okay.
reported to Officer Tyson, it's possibly that you might be intoxicated as well.
Okay. Do you know what happened to the alcohol that was on scene?
Not to my recollection.
Oh. Okay. Did you get a chance to review the body cam footage from that night? And is it your opinion that I obstructed a verbal command by Sergeant Gibbs?
I'm gonna object to the conclusion, Your Honor.
I'll overrule it. I'll let him answer.
That's the question, yes, sir.
It was a verbal disagreement.
No, that wasn't your question.
Ask your question.
What was that?
Ask your question, please, sir.
It is your opinion that I verbally obstructed Sergeant Gibbs?
Well,
I believe that you instructed by not listening to his verbal commands. And then you were trying to render aid to your friend.
Do you recall his verbal commands? Does walk away sound familiar?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I told him to that frequently when I speak to son.
Right. Right. Okay. With the walk away term, do you ever hear him cite any other like legal authority with it?
You're asking to that night, saying anything to it, or just in general?
Yeah, just in general for right now. I'm just trying to figure out if there's like it's like a rule or like a law that you might say with that would like get somebody kind of arrested me.
At that time, we see somebody that is obstruction to our investigation. We advise them to move along. If they do not move along, that's an undertaking.
How much time do they have for that?
It was directed by our sergeant.
Okay.
I think 3 times at least. So go ahead.
What a fascinating hearing. Throughout this proceeding, we watched a self-represented defendant aggressively challenge the officer's actions, the basis for his detention, and the overall investigation. At the same time, the prosecution relied on officer testimony to argue that law enforcement was carrying out legitimate duties when the alleged obstruction occurred. We also saw repeated courtroom lessons on relevance, proper questioning techniques, and the difficulties that can arise when someone chooses to represent themselves. The judge consistently attempted to keep the hearing focused on the legal elements of the charge while giving the defendant every opportunity to present his arguments.